Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Cliff, and I am here to introduce our authors for today. We have our author and illustrator for today. We have JaNay Brown-Wood and Samara Hardy, author and illustrator of Amara's Farm, and the book we are here to celebrate, Miguel's Community Garden. This event is possible because of your support. When you support Left Bank Books, you support all of St. Louis, our shared economy. It helps keep our bookstore open, as well as our streets paved, our libraries funded, our parks free, and us, Left Bank, to support the authors that we love and so many other things that make St. Louis such a great place to be. I would like to thank you all for shopping local and supporting this event. For everyone watching, as a note, you can interact with today's event by typing questions in the comments section. We will have an audience Q&A towards the end of the event. I am once again Cliff Helm. I am the children's specialist here at Left Bank, and I am so happy to be here with you. Be sure to check out our event calendar on our website, left-bank.com, for a full list of all our programming for readers of all ages. Right. And now, about today's book, Miguel's Community Garden. Miguel is throwing a party at his community garden for all of his friends, and he needs help searching for sunflowers to complete the celebration. What do we know about sunflowers? They're tall with petals and leaves. And hold on, is that a sunflower? No, that's an artichoke. Where, oh, where could those sunflowers be? Can you help Miguel find them in time for his party? On behalf of Left Bank Books, please join me in welcoming JaNay Brown-Wood and Samara Hardy.
Hello.
Hello to you both.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for doing this. I'm so excited.
This is a pleasure. And that was quite an introduction, Cliff. I loved it.
Excellent. Thank you. I am so happy to have you here. These are beautiful, beautiful books. So much fun. So very colorful. And there's nothing on this planet I love more than food.
Ditto.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. So I will ask you, JaNay, to read the book. And then after that, we'll have a little demonstration of the illustrations or presentation of the illustrations from you, Samara, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear you read it.
Thank you. Well, with that, I'll take it away. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm JaNay Brown-Wood, author and educator, and the author of the Where in the Garden series, which Cliff already spoke about. It includes Amara's Farm, which came out last year, Miguel's Community Garden, which I'll be sharing with you today. And it's got two other titles coming out as well, including Logan's Greenhouse, which is going to be coming out in October, and a fourth book, which I can't share the title yet, but you'll have to keep your eyes open for that one. So today I'm going to share Miguel's Community Garden. And just like Cliff said, we're going to need your help to see if we can help Miguel find his sunflowers. So I'm going to share my screen with you. One moment. And here we are. Miguel's Community Garden, written by me, JaNay Brown-Wood, and illustrated by Samara Hardy, which you'll get to hear more from her in a moment. All right. Miguel's Community Garden. Miguel has many plants in his community garden. Today, Miguel must find his sunflowers for his garden party. What do we know about sunflowers? Well, a sunflower is tall, it has yellow petals and a round center with many seeds. Its leaves are smooth with pointy tips, and they are large and stick out. It also grows from the ground in the bright sun, and it stands on a single thick stem with its bright flower on the very top. Let's help Miguel find his sunflowers. A sunflower is tall. Is that a sunflower? No, Those are apricots on an apricot tree. An apricot tree is tall, but it is much taller than a sunflower. A sunflower has yellow petals. Is that a sunflower? No, those are artichokes. An artichoke has petals, but they are green and not yellow. A sunflower has a round center that can be seen on the outside. Is that a sunflower? No, those are cherries. Cherries do have a round center, but their centers are hidden in the inside. Do you think we're going to find Miguel's sunflowers? Let's keep trying. A sunflower has many seeds that are clustered together in its round center. Is that a sunflower? No, those are mulberries. Mulberries grow as clusters, but their many seeds are spread throughout their berries. A sunflower has smooth green leaves with pointy tips. Is that a sunflower? No, that's spinach. Spinach does have smooth green leaves, but their tips are usually rounded and not pointy. A sunflower has large leaves that stick out far from the stem. Is that a sunflower? No, that's asparagus. Asparagus has leaf-like scales along its stem, but the scales are small and do not stick out far. A sunflower grows from the ground in sunny, bright environments. Is that a sunflower? No, those are mushrooms. Mushrooms grow from the ground, but they like cool, wet environments instead of bright sunlight. A sunflower stands on a thick, single stem. Is that a sunflower? No, that's celery. Celery is thick in places, but celery stands with several stalks and not only a single stem. A sunflower's bright flower sits on the very top of its stem. Is that a sunflower? No, those are bell peppers. Bell pepper fruit is bright, but it hangs down from its stem and doesn't sit on the top. Miguel's garden party won't be the same without his sunflowers. We've searched and searched and still no luck. Where can they be? Is that a sunflower? Look at this picture really closely. Can you see a sunflower in this picture? Why, yes, that's a sunflower. It's tall and has yellow petals. It has a round center with many seeds clustered together. Its leaves are smooth, green, and pointy, and they are large and stick out far. It grows up from the ground in the bright sun and stands on a thick stem with its bright flower on the very top. Hooray! Yes, we found them. We found Miguel's sunflowers. And just in time for some wonderful snacks. Which produce can you find at Miguel's garden party? Ooh, I see lots of different produce. Do you see any that we recognize from the story? Maybe artichoke, asparagus, mulberries and celery? How about bell peppers or mushrooms or cherries or apricots? Do you see the spinach or the sunflowers? You'll have to get the book to look really closely to see which produce you're able to find. So that, oh, actually, one more page. This is a really cool recipe that you can make with an adult helper. It's a sunflower seed salad, and it includes lots of the different produce that we read about in Miguel's story. So you have to try this out and let me know how it tastes. So that is the end of Miguel's community garden. Oh, Cliff, you are muted.
I know how many years of this, and I still can't.
It's okay. We're not judging.
Thank you so much. Thank you for reading. It was fantastic. I love the book.
Thank you. You know what I want to say? So each of the books has the recipe like I shared, but I actually make these fun little videos called Cooking with Janae, where I am wearing one of these amazing aprons that match the end pages of Miguel. And my daughter and my nephew, we make the cool recipes that are featured in the back of the books. So it's called Cooking with Janae. If you Google Cooking with Janae, you can find those free videos and, follow along and make the recipes yourself.
Oh, I absolutely will be. Fantastic. Can I turn it over to you, Samara, for a fantastic look at the illustrations?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk through basically like the process of how I illustrated it and stuff after I received the manuscript from the publisher through my agent. Can I just share my screen on the thing quickly? Is that shared? Brilliant. So let me just make that a bit bigger. So yeah, can you all see that all right? Is that there we go. So basically, I think the first thing which really sort of stood out for me with these books was just the fact that I absolutely love drawing food. And I think these images down here with the first sort of style which the publisher picked up on, and they said they really liked the sort of the details in the vegetables and the style of the fruit and everything. And they said they thought it would be a really good fit for this book. So that was great because that was something that I absolutely loved doing, and I'd always, wanted to do sort of a project involving sort of produce and fruit and veg and stuff like that. So I was so excited to get started on this one. So like any project, my first sort of starting point was to just create like a mood board page like this with just pictures of the vegetables, sort of ideas about the setting and the scenes. And I mean, this one was obviously a community garden, so I just sort of looked for how sort of that would sit within a sort of residential sort of scene and stuff. And I mean, for me, my mum, when I was younger, she's still got it. She's got an allotment, which is very similar. It's sort of like a community space where people can grow lots of food and veg. So I think that was the main inspiration for me for this, was just sort of, getting that sort of green oasis in amongst the sort of city sort of landscape, which you see in the background. So yeah, no, I started with that, and then just sort of looking into sort of the specifics of the vegetables as well, because for this we really wanted it to be accurate so that children can sort of pick out details and identify the different fruit and veg. So it's really important to actually get the vegetables right rather than being a more stylized version. So that was something that I sort of had to do a lot of research on. So that was good. And then also Miguel himself and his two dads as well, because I think we wanted it to be a very inclusive series with lots of different backgrounds, lots of different kids and stuff with different abilities and different backgrounds. So I think that was something that was really important to get across as well. And yeah, so that's sort of where I started off really. And then the first thing that I do is, let me get these up, is sort of, I mean, initially I do very, very rough thumbnails, which I've since deleted because they were so awful. I tend to draw over those and neaten them up a bit. So these are sort of some examples of the two different front covers that I was sort of looking at. So two different options. I wanted to sort of make it very full, very vibrant, so that on the shelves it really stands out, and there's lots of fun details in there. And also the back cover as well, I think that's sometimes neglected a bit in picture books, so I like to sort of try and make that just as fun as the front. So when you're sort of looking at the back as well, there's still lots going on down there and lots of things to look at. So that was sort of a real sort of thing that I really enjoyed with these books. And I think luckily the publisher gave a lot of creative freedom as well, just for me to sort of go ahead and just, you know, do whatever I want. There wasn't a real sort of brief for that. It was just whatever sort of came into my head, really. And then sort of you'll see down here, these are the spreads, how they look initially. I think for my roughs, I do like to make them quite neat and quite close to the final, because I find that really sort of helps me later on when I'm colouring in to sort of speed up the process a bit, because it's you know, we can save time wherever you can, so it's nice to have it all neat and, you know exactly where everything's got to go. So yeah, I'll just rough them out like this and then send them off to the publisher and sort of get approval, hopefully, and go from there, really. I mean, luckily with these books there wasn't a lot of amends. Sometimes, you know, books there's a lot of tweaks and a lot of back and forth between the publisher, author and the illustrator and stuff, but these actually came together really easily, which was nice. And yeah, and I'll just go and talk about a little bit about how the final illustrations come about and the colour for that. So with these, what I tend to do is I work a lot on my iPad now. I use Procreate to do the sketches and the initial sort of layouts and stuff, and then what I'll do is take textures and stuff, because over the years I've built up a big bank of like textures and ink splats and all lots of lovely things I can use in my work. And so I've got a big bank of those, which I'll then sort of put together and layer up and sort of make them look sort of as realistic as possible. So yeah, so I'll use a mix of Procreate and Photoshop for that, and just just build up layers of colour and just try and make the vegetables look as sort of vibrant as possible. For this one was the main thing, and it was one of my favourite parts was sort of putting in the all the little creatures and the bugs. That was really fun, because I sort of wanted to have something else on the page rather than just the vegetables. I thought, it'd be quite fun to have, you know, lots of little insects to spot and a little bit more going on, so sort of add a bit more sort of depth to it and a bit more to sort of look at. So I think the main challenge for this book as well was trying to sort of work out compositions, and especially like with the scale of fruit and the scale of the people as well, sort of getting the detail in the fruit as well as sort of having the people as well. It was quite a challenge to sort of get close enough and sort of find that right perspective to sort of get enough of the vegetable in as well as the people, because the scale can sometimes be quite hard with that. So yeah, and it was just sort of a case of, as well as thinking of where the different vegetables and stuff would grow as well. For example, I've sort of put those in pots. That one's sort of in a lot more of a wooden planter. They're coming straight out of the ground, so I just wanted to sort of vary sort of where they are, so that it didn't look too samey. And just I did a lot of research on different sort of planting, where things would grow, and sort of stuff like that, really. So it's such a lovely book to work on, and it's been such a fun series. And that's pretty much it, really, about the process, I think. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both of you. This is so great. I'm glad I have you here. My first question, I want to say that I love Miguel's rain slicker. It is, it's great. Was this a stylistic choice, or was it a mandate?
I think because what we had is each book was sort of a different season. I think this was like more of a spring book, so I was thinking of, you know, there's a bit of rain in the book as well, like sort of the weather, so I thought, it'd be nice if you had like a little sort of rain jacket on, and it just makes it quite cute. I think that's one of my favourite bits, is sort of designing what the characters wear, because it's always sort of fun to think, what would they, you know, be wearing, and it's fun designing their outfits and stuff. So that was just a bit of a artistic license with that one.
Can I add really quickly? Often when you're making books, the illustrator and the author are separate. So the author writes the stories, and then it gets sent to the illustrator, and the illustrator creates these pictures. So as an author, sometimes you're not sure what to expect. You don't know what's going to come in your email. You don't know if you're going to love what you see. And I just have to say, every iteration of what I saw from Samara was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I loved everything from the sketches that she created, the characters, making them just so adorable and beautiful like she did, and her ability to just capture the produce that they feel like they jump right off the page. So I just had to say, it's so fun as an author when we do events like this that I get to see her process, because it's new to me too. And to see her sketches and how close to the final, overall sketches is just so cool to see. So I just had to say, working with Samara and seeing her artwork has just been such a fantastic experience.
Oh, thank you. That's such a relief, because it's always so nerve-wracking when you send off the artwork. There's always that fear of, what's the author going to think? Are they going to like it? Are they going to hate it? Like, what's it going to be? So it's always
a vulnerable experience.
Yeah, and I just have to say, for me, every time I received them, I was floored by how beautiful they were. So.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic. Yes, and in that same vein, while we're heaping you with praise, I do love all of the illustrations of the produce. They're fantastic. I had to do some Googling. Does asparagus really just grow out of the ground like that?
It does.
And lo and behold, there it does.
Yeah. I think that's a fun part about this book. When I was writing it, I was trying to capture produce that children would be familiar with, but also some that they would be unfamiliar with. And also how some of them grow. I know as I was doing some of the research, looking at pictures like asparagus, one of our books has Brussels sprouts. Wait till you see how Brussels sprouts grow. It's just mind-boggling.
I was an adult when I learned how Brussels sprouts grow.
Yeah.
And it is wild.
Yeah. And
I won't spoil anything.
Right. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. But then to see Samara bring it to life the way she does. And I think for some kids, they're going to look at that and just be like, what? And already being exposed to the plants of some of these produce, it's just really, and it's layers of sort of education and learning for kids, and in such an engaging way because of how the artwork just captivates.
Absolutely. Well, I guess moving from the book to the two of you, were you particularly adventurous eaters when you were a kid? Like, most of this produce I didn't eat until, I have to seek it out now. There's still so much I haven't encountered. So I'm curious, were you adventurous? Did you try everything? Had you eaten an artichoke, a pomegranate? Did you do all of the produce?
Do you
want to go first, Samara?
I think for me, because my mum, I think when I was about 2, she took an allotment, and she used to grow a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, and she's always been really, really into cooking and making her own jams and soups and stuff like that. So I think I probably was quite adventurous, because she was always bringing home new things to try. And even now, she sort of brings home these sort of weird vegetables that she's found. So, try a bit of this, So I think from a young age, I've been quite lucky in the fact that I've sort of been exposed to that sort of thing. So I think, I was obviously a bit fussy as well at some points where it's like, I don't want to eat vegetables, it's horrible sort of thing. But I think she did definitely try. And I think that's definitely helped with this book as well, sort of having that background of actually growing the vegetables and seeing her and going over and helping her with that. That's sort of really, really been useful, actually. So no, I think I was fairly adventurous, but I think like any child, sometimes, you just don't want to try it, do you? So a little bit of both.
I know.
Yeah. I don't think I was super adventurous. My parents tended to have the same vegetables over and over again. I learned very quickly that I do not like lima beans. But, I don't think I was super adventurous. There were a few things that I really enjoyed, like spinach. To this day, spinach is my favorite vegetable. And And I actually think I'm aging
good.
myself right now. I think Popeye, the cartoon Popeye, is responsible for my love of spinach. I don't know, when he would eat that spinach and all of a sudden he was like Muscle Man. I don't know. But I think though, as I was writing these books, I kept this in mind. So my background, my background is in child development and early childhood education. So I'm always looking for ways to engage readers, but also to teach them something or to give them some kind of experience. And so when I was picking the different produce to include, it was with this thought of, hey, as we're exposing children to these different types of produce that might be unfamiliar, this can start a conversation with their parents or their teachers about these different produce, and then maybe pique their interest to actually try some of them. So I have a 5-year-old, her name is Vivian. And in Miguel's, we were looking at artichokes, and she saw these drawings of artichokes. Now she's got, a mental picture of what an artichoke is. And we went to the grocery store and she was like, hey, an artichoke. So she recognized it. And then she was like, can we try that? And so I bought an artichoke. I had to figure out how to cook an artichoke and cut an artichoke. But we had artichoke one night for dinner because that was something that she had been, exposed to. So while maybe I wasn't so much an adventurous eater, I think books like this, exposing children to different types of produce like this, could pique their interest in trying something new.
Oh, absolutely. It sparks curiosity, which is the main thing. Yeah, there were fruits in here, at least in Omar's farm, that I had never had. And yeah, exactly. I've seen them. I've heard of them. I just thought it was a funny word.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that's been fun. It's been challenging too, to find those different produce, but then as the author to think about the compare and contrast, because that's, an integral part of these books. It's similar to, a sunflower in this way, but it's different in this way. And so really having to kind of dig deep and do a close reading, a close look at the different produce so that I can figure out accurate descriptions. That was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge, and again, having the opportunity to then expose readers to different types of produce has been really, really fun.
Yeah, I guess it'd be good as a learning tool, right? Because once you learn the similarities and the differences, you learn how to classify these things. So it asks the curious kid to do a little bit more work, figure out what makes these things, I don't know, why does celery grow that way and what's in that family of vegetable? I wish I knew more. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just the text, it allows for kids to then want to do more research. It opens the door to starting your own garden, right? And then just looking at Samara's illustrations, you can have them do some practice of actually looking at the illustrations. What are some other things that we notice are similar? And what are some other things that we notice are different? What if we compare a cherry to a kumquat? So it just really opens the door for such rich learning opportunities.
Absolutely. So can I ask why produce? Why food? Is there a particular reason you wrote these books?
I think that it came from the inspiration. So I was visiting a friend's his backyard garden, and she was about preschool age at the time. He has a daughter, and she was just maneuvering through this space. He had, the amount of produce that he had in his garden was like, wow. And here she was, 3, 4, 5, moving through and knowing what the things were and, picking things. And that's what sparked this idea of a little person moving through the garden with such confidence and ease. And that's where the idea came. And then the additional pieces, as you're writing drafts and you're trying different things, it really solidified this idea of kind of like a scavenger hunt through a garden with this opportunity to learn lots of different produce. Yeah. And also because food is delicious. I should also say that too. Food is very delicious.
Yes, food is delicious. Vegetables are delicious. Asparagus, once you learn how to get it, is fantastic. Excellent. And so the recipes in the back, are these of your own devising? Do you make these yourself?
They are, yeah, with lots of trial and error. Because while I love to cook, I especially love baking. That's my favorite. I did some research looking at different recipes and then kind of pieced different ones together and try lots of different things. Like in Amara's farm, there's a molasses pumpkin bread. And my family got tired of tasting different types of molasses pumpkin bread, the chocolate chips on the top, or maybe they're inside, or try this one and try this one. So there was lots of trial and error until I feel like I nailed the one that is included in the book, which I think is delicious. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to taste it. I am biased because I, created it, but I think it's delicious. But it also allows for some options. Like you can put walnuts if you want to. It's optional. So, that helps you tweak it to your kids' taste. If maybe they don't like walnuts, you don't have to include it. So, yeah.
Excellent. Do either of you garden? Are you plant moms, plant parents? Do you have a little
background? I've got
no, I see.
There's an ever-growing collection. I think I started. I think I probably bought my first house plant probably 5-6 years ago, and I mean we've just moved, so they're all currently sort of in another room, but they're sort of gradually sort of taking over. So it's definitely a hobby of mine. And the garden as well, we've just planted some strawberries out ready for the summer and got lots of pots going and stuff, because we've I think we moved in probably about 4 months ago now, and it's sort of in it's in the countryside in a little village called Rotherfield in England. And it's a lovely little cottage garden, and the lady that lived here before, she's got so many beautiful plants, and they're all starting to come up now. So it's been so exciting seeing what's actually in the garden, and there's just so many beautiful things coming up. So now I've really enjoyed sort of getting my teeth into that, because before that I lived with my parents, so they used to sort of just take care of the garden. So now I've got my own sort of space that I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, you're in
Quite
charge.
Love it.
And plant lots of things. So it's definitely learning as well, because I think to sort of text my mum like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I, how do I look after this? Like, what's this plant that's just popped up? So that's been good fun. But now I think I'm going to really enjoy it and sort of try and get my green fingers.
It is. It's good. It's so much fun, but it's hard.
Yeah, there's so much to sort
they
of
all
learn.
need such different things. Why can't there just be one amount of water and sunlight?
So hard getting it right and getting them in the right room in the right place, and the amount of plants I've killed over the years is pretty sad. So I'm getting better though. It's we're getting there.
Yeah, I have a few plants in my home too, and I'll be honest, I was on the pandemic trend of let's start a garden. So I have started a garden in the back. I grew sunflowers and like these different things that actually were in the book too. The sunflowers got massive. They were so cool. But just as I was saying with the cooking, there's a lot of trial and error in gardening too. Like, what insect is now eating my plant? I just figured out how to get rid of that other one. Here's a brand new one, right? And something I learned the very hard way is that mint and like peppermint and any of those, that they're kind of invasive. So I was all excited. I planted some peppermint and spearmint, and they took over the entire garden. And even to this day, I haven't had a chance because of work, haven't had a chance to plant anything new, but that mint is growing strong.
Oh no.
Even though we don't want it to, it's like, I'm here and I'm staying. So I do, when I have a chance, I do like to do some gardening. And I remember when I was a kid, we had right next to our front door, like our porch, there's just this little piece of dirt. I don't even think it was like healthy dirt or anything, but it's just dirt. And I was like, I want to plant something. And we had a watermelon and I took a watermelon seed and I planted it back there. And my older sister, Erin, was like, well, if we're going to do this, like, let's do this right. So she did like these little troughs, and in the dirt so we can water it. And a watermelon actually grew. I remember being so excited, but
That's
I
great.
was a kid and I was impatient too. So I picked it way too early because I was like, oh my gosh, look what I made. So that excitement that comes with gardening is fun too.
It is. I will say, I'm sorry for my audio. It is weird. I've got some garlic growing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll see if it comes. I've been curious. I like to do things. I like to be known as having been able to do a thing. And so I just saw, you just plant a clove of garlic and it turns into a bulb of garlic. And I had to see for myself. I can't trust the internet. I had to see.
Research.
And and it's actually growing. And now I've gotten really into it. I'm checking the water levels every day and looking up illustrations. I, like you, am impatient and I want to dig it up. I want to see what it's doing in there. They don't sell clear dirt. I've tried to look for it. But it's so much fun looking at illustrations of the growth cycle of garlic, and I have some basil somewhere. But unfortunately I live in an apartment. I don't have a lot of green space in which to grow.
Yeah, and I think gardening for me too gives just this appreciation for nature. I already have appreciation for nature, but that you can take this little thing like a seed and put it in there and give it what it needs, and it grows into this, amazing plant. It's really cool. Even as I was doing research for these different books, for example, sweet potato, that sweet potato slips or pieces of sweet potato is what you then plant to then grow new sweet potato. It's just so cool. And it just really continues to I don't know, be awe-inspiring when you think about what nature is able to do.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Are you two outdoorsy types? Do you?
Yeah, I'd say, I think, because being sort of indoors illustrating all day is nice sort of at the weekends to get out and, enjoy nature and just go for a nice walk and, just make the most of our surroundings around it because it's so beautiful. And I think definitely being sort of stuck at a computer all day is nice just to sort of get out and a bit of fresh air and blue skies, hopefully, although over here it's often raining quite a lot, so it's not really quite so nice. So no, I think definitely I do love the outdoors, and it's just, as a child, I used to absolutely love playing outside in the garden, and I was always running around outside. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me too. I live in sunny California, so I love taking walks. Yeah, and I'm in Sacramento, and I just feel like in California you have pretty easy access to so many different sites like the beach or the mountains or desert. So I like taking walks. I like being outside. I especially like being by water and just listening to water, because I find that being outdoors actually is inspirational for me, especially when I'm writing poetry. So I like being outdoors.
Excellent. Yeah, and to be a poet, you kind of have to. I'm so sorry for my audio.
You sound fine to me.
Oh, okay. It just sounds very strange in my ear. It's an echo.
No, we don't hear it.
It is okay. Fantastic. As a poet, I imagine it is a tool of the trade to notice things, to notice differences, to notice characteristics, and so does. I see how you end up writing these books where you're, tearing apart why these things look this way and how are they similar, compare and contrast.
Yeah,
it's great.
I say when I talk to people who are interested in writing and I give advice, and I figure this is probably similar for Samara too, but the importance of observation, the importance of looking very closely, to paying attention to things, to trying to think about them from all different angles. that helps me in my writing too. So it almost feels like when you're an author, you're still kind of a scientist. You're still a researcher. You're just observing people, or you're observing something else that can then be incorporated into your writing. And Samara, I figure, and you can speak to this, I figure it's probably similar when it comes to art, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, when you're sort of learning, and I know in the courses that I did when I was younger, it was always about, drawing from life, looking at what's around you, keeping a sketchbook, sort of to draw in and just draw what you see and just keep sort of observing things, being curious and just sort of, just observing your surroundings and all that sort of thing. And I think it's definitely, for me, especially before you can sort of find your style and find your sort of stylistic approach to illustration, it's very important to get those basics sort of skills down, sort of drawing from life, realistic drawing, looking at details and stuff, before you can then go and sort of simplify things and make it, your own. So I think it's very important to sort of, as an artist, to, observe and just be, aware and curious of, what's around you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So did you both know from a young age that you would be, at least try to write or to draw? Was it always just a seed in there, or did you come to it later?
Yeah, no, I think for me, definitely, because I know my mum used to say when I was younger, I was always just drawing over the walls. I was just everywhere. If I had a pen in my hand, it would be sort of drawing on something. And so I remember whenever they used to like redecorate a room, they used to let me just go mad and sort of draw murals and stuff and just, do whatever I like. So before they painted over it. So that was really good fun. I had a lot of time enjoying that. So no,
That's
I think
a lot of
definitely.
fun.
And I think I didn't really sort of know that it was a career. I think I just always enjoyed it, and I think it was until I got to secondary school, which is sort of probably high school in the US, I'm not too sure, but sort of about the age of 15, 16, and I know an art teacher at school, she said, "Oh, have you ever thought of being an illustrator?" Because she knew I just absolutely loved drawing all the time. And I was like, "Oh, I'd never really heard of that. Oh yeah, no, I'll look into that." Because even though I read picture books, I never really sort of thought, "Oh, someone actually draws those pictures." You just think, "Oh, they're just there, aren't they?" So I think that was the moment where I was like, "Oh, actually I could actually do this professionally." And then obviously I did that and did a foundation course in art, which we explored lots of different areas like graphic design, textiles, pottery, sort of loads of different things, and just really experimented with a lot of sort of different mediums and career paths. And I think I've settled on illustration because I was like, I just always had that in my head, and went on to uni in Cornwall, which was lovely. That was by the sea, and just the inspiration down there was just an absolute dream. Just living there for 3 years, it's like a holiday really, rather than university. So and then did that, and then just here I am today, drawing picture books. And it's funny when you look back on it and just think, oh, I could never sort of see myself doing anything else really. I don't really know what I'd do if it hadn't have worked out. I'd sort of goodness knows where I'd be, but luckily, fingers crossed, it's worked out.
Yeah, luckily for us, it worked out for you.
Yeah. Luckily, you're super talented and amazing. So, yeah. I love that story, Samara. I hadn't heard that story because about your teacher saying, have you thought of this? That is such an important thing to share with kids and to just say, like, to teachers, oh my gosh, we appreciate you guys so much. We love you. You're amazing. Because my story is similar. I always loved writing. I'm a Leo, I was the kid who was loud and liked to be front and center. Cliff, are you a Leo as well? You understand? Yeah. So I just loved it. And I always loved telling stories and acting out my stories. And when I was in 6th grade, I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Welch. And I remember we had an assignment where we had to write a story. And I created this whole picture book called Taylor the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which then I continued writing them. They were my first unpublished, and I illustrated them as well. But my first unpublished series of books called Taylor the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And they were inspired by my little sister. And I remember when the assignment was done, she picked me. I can't remember if she allowed everyone to do it, but she picked me to read my hand-drawn, handwritten story to the whole class. And I just read it, right? And then at the end of the school year, she would always write these predictions for all of her outgoing sixth graders who were moving on to seventh grade and middle school. And the one she wrote for me back in sixth grade was, best-selling author JaNay Brown has done it again.
Oh.
And she made that prediction that I would be an author. And when my first book, Imani's Moon, came out, I searched everywhere to find her. And 2 weeks before my book release party, I found her, and she was right there, almost, I think, front and center at my book release party. And I told the story about, here she is. This is Mrs. Welch, who told me in sixth grade that I would be a best-selling author. So I always had this love of writing, and it just goes to show when we have encouraging teachers in our lives who see something in us, like our ability to draw and or write, and allowing us to know that there are these different opportunities you can take. It just really impacts the trajectory of our lives in such a positive way. So this is just my thank you, educators. We love you. A shout out to all
yes,
the
I'm
teachers
sure
out
they
there.
appreciate it. Yeah, if you can't get the dollars, at least you can get the appreciation.
There you go. That's the sad truth, Cliff.
This has been so great. I don't have any questions in the chat yet. Is there anything about the book that people haven't picked up on? Are there hidden illustrations? Are there things that you want people to see, want you people to take from it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think really. I wouldn't say there's anything.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think, if anything, I'd just like sort of people just to take a sort of curiosity for their food and their surroundings, and just let it hopefully be a spark to whether it's, cooking a nice meal for their family, or sort of bringing people together and, having a garden party, or, having a potluck where everybody brings food or something like that. Just sort of, if that happens for somebody and they've been inspired by that, and it brings them together in that way, then that's brilliant. And just, even if it's they read the story and they're just able to escape for a bit and just go into that world and amongst all the vegetables and flowers, and it's just a bit of a relaxing time for them, then just that really, I think.
Yeah, I love that. There are a few things I'll say when sharing this book with children. Just really take the time to look through these really beautiful illustrations, because there's just layers of fun. I've already kind of hit on, comparing and contrasting the produce, but from the times that I've shared this book with kids, they love finding the little insects that Samara has hidden or placed throughout. They just love it, right? I don't know if you can see this little pill bug in here. They love that. And so take the time to kind of go through these books. They're so fun. See if they can compare them across books. Hey, is there a pill bug in Amara too? Can we find it? I also, an educator was sharing with me about, the last page has these are all of the characters that we're going to see across the series, right? Amara, we've already seen. This is Lynn on this side, Miguel, of course, and then Logan comes out next. And the kids get this kick out of do you think they're all going to be in the back of this one too? Let's check. An educator was telling me they were so excited because they were like, there's Amara! We see Amara, in Miguel's book. So that's so fun. And I'm going to just really quickly share my screen one more time, because I want to again share about the Cooking with JaNay. These are they're just free little fun 5-minute cooking shows, where in this one we make the sunflower seed salad, and that's the QR code. And they're, again, just an added layer of fun. I love how we say, you also need one trusty adult helper. So using these books as these supplementary tools in the classroom and at home to get children excited about produce. It's a lot of fun. And I think they set the stage for really meaningful experiences for children.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both. And I will say, as a parting statement, that I love the books. They're fantastic. I have learned from them. Who would have thought? But I do love particularly that they end with people gathering around. They're eating all of the produce that we saw earlier in the book, and it does bring people together, and it is, I don't know, all these things we learn, we should share. All these things we grow, we should share. It is because it means more when it's shared, when it's a thing that the two or more people do together. It's great. I think you did a wonderful job of illustrating that, both with pictures and words. That the community building, I don't know, just how great.
Cliff, you're making me blush. Thank you.
Oh, please. It's great. You both did a fantastic job. I appreciate your books so much.
Oh, thanks. It's really been a pleasure working with Samara and Peachtree, all of the individuals at Peachtree, like our editor, Jonah. And it's just has been such a pleasure. These books, they were just really crafted with love. And I think that it shows,
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I will call it there. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast. And I will, on camera, make you promise to come back for Logan.
Yes. If you will have us, we will be here, Cliff.
Definitely.
Fantastic. It's been wonderful chatting with you both. Thank you so much. And thank everyone at home for watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have copies in the store. Please come get them. And please bring me produce if you have something I haven't eaten before.
Bring him a kumquat. He would like to taste one of those.
Yes, absolutely. Thank everyone so much.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. My pleasure.